Welcome to the webinar entitled Mobile Data Visualization and Analytics. I'm Dana Stanley, VP of Marketing at Survey Analytics, and I'm going to be joined in a few minutes by Greg Bender, who's the Director of Product Management at Survey Analytics. Let me quickly go over the agenda for the webinar before we jump in with the substance. I'm going to tell you very briefly about Survey Analytics in case you're not aware of who we are and what we're all about. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the context for mobile visualization and analytics, including the proliferation of data in the world today and in the business world in particular and in marketing, making sense of that data, the rise of data dashboards, and then talk a little bit about the ubiquity of mobile and the rise of smartphones and tablets. Then we'll talk a little bit about the power of touch, which is really a cutting edge topic when it comes to mobile data visualization and analytics. Talk a little bit about other ways of presenting data, including PowerPoint, and then just data visualization generally, and a few thoughts on innovation before getting into the demonstration of SecondPrism, Survey Analytics' revolutionary app for tablets and smartphones to visualize and help people interact with data and analyze data right on their tablets and mobile devices. I'll introduce it a little bit, and then I'll turn it over to Greg for the demonstration. Then we'll have time for questions and answers. As we go along, go ahead and submit your questions into the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll have time at the end. Greg and I will together answer your questions. Okay, so I think we're all set, and we'll go ahead and get started. First, briefly about Survey Analytics. We do a lot of different things, and so we've come up with this short description, which I think really tells you what we're all about, which is that we are a suite of interconnected and easy to use information collection and analysis tools, including online surveys, mobile data collection, advanced analytics, and data visualization. We have various tools that allow you to do different things, and they work together. Briefly, Survey Analytics is our core product. It's our enterprise research platform. And that's really the core thing that holds everything together. SecondPrism is our mobile visualization and analytics tool. We'll be talking about that, of course, a lot today. Other things, just for reference, Survey Pocket is our mobile field data collection app. Survey Swipe is our app for mobile surveys and panels. And Life Metrics is our system for collecting mobile passive data, which is another cutting edge field. So all of these are interoperable and they work together. And as you'll see in Greg's demonstration, they all can feed data into one another. And SecondPrism is the analytics and visualization side of it. So we all know that data is everywhere in the world today. There's a lot of talk of big data. It's certainly quite the buzzword in the business world and in the marketing world. And this is really, for market researchers, this is nothing new. We've always been all about taking data and extracting meaning from it. But the ante has really been upped. There are so many different things that need to be analyzed and tracked and interpreted. And that's where our skills come in. That's where your skills come in. You need to take that data and you need to tame it. And you need to give it meaning and make it useful. Well, you need to start by taming that data. And we have our traditional market research surveys, but then there are other data streams that companies have that they have to there's outside of research data, there's just traditional marketing data, or not traditional, but traditional web marketing data. So things like Google Analytics and marketing metrics, downloads, interactions with your website. And there's sales data. And these are all things that business decision makers need to keep track of. And as market researchers, our industry and our profession has really been morphing, and now it's all about being a data generalist, but then at the same time being a methodologist. And now we're being challenged to, uh, more and more have the skills to present data and give it meaning. And there are different ways of doing that, and increasingly it's going to be mobile, and it's increasingly going to be interactive. A lot of the data out there just doesn't make sense to people. It doesn't make sense to the business decision makers. They have more data than they know what to do with. And it's really incumbent on you as the marketer, as the market researcher, as the data analyst, as the insight specialist to figure out what's the signal and what's the noise and make sense out of that data. And that's really the challenge for market researchers moving forward. It's not just about surveys and focus groups anymore. And you need to take things that don't make sense and make them make sense. And it really is up to you because no one else is going to do it. It shouldn't be driven by technology, uh, technology uh, first. People, better way of stating it is that if we don't tame that data and give it meaning, then inevitably there are going to be technologies that give that attempt to analyze the data. But what we bring to the table is the ability to analyze and understand the implications of that data. So it's really on you to apply those skills and make sure that people aren't just looking at data uninterpreted, but that they're being guided by a professional like yourself. You have the ability to take that data and spin it into gold, just like Rumpelstiltskin took the straw and turned it into gold. What you do is going to be giving meaning, and does give meaning, and increasingly will be giving meaning, and will represent real value for your company. And so this is an opportunity for you. So how do you do that? How do you give data meaning when there's such a deluge of it? Well, um, there's really been a movement toward data dashboarding. I quickly just put the term data dashboard in Google Trends, which shows the search volume over time. And you see that, since 2005 until present, there's been a steady growth in interest and in searches on the term data dashboard. And if you do a Google search on data dashboard, you get all manner of different ways of presenting data. There's all kinds of stuff out there. But again, meaning should be derived from the data. It shouldn't be followed. It shouldn't follow just the form. It should follow the 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 meaning. You shouldn't just run data through a system and have it have no meaning. You need to construct it in a way that's going to be as useful as possible for people. So there's really an overwhelming number of options for data dashboarding, but how do we give it more meaning? Well, mobile is one way to do that, because rather than just looking at things visually, you can actually interact with them with your hands and manipulate it, and that gives it more meaning than simply looking at a data dashboard visually. We all know that mobile is growing. Um, Here's a nice shot, I think, of some women all looking at their smartphones and their mobile phones. This trend is only continuing, and it's really to the point where mobile is really should be a key component of your research. Not everything can be done mobile, but increasingly it's possible. And not just doing the research in a mobile fashion, but also taking it to the next level and really pioneering something that hasn't been done heretofore so much, and that's presenting the data in a mobile format. And it's not just smartphones, iPads. Here's the president the United States looking at his iPad. And of course, the new younger generation, this generation is catching up, but with the next generation, it's all over. I mean, they're so used to interacting with data. They're so used to uh, manipulating things on a touchscreen environment. Um, this is absolutely where things are going, and it's the future. So if you're thinking about ways of presenting data, you should be thinking mobile and you should be thinking touch. Let's talk a little bit more about the power of touch. When you touch, you're using more than just your vision, you're using your sense of touch. And together, those are much more powerful than vision alone. Touch connotes emotion. Um, there's a real emotional component. Um, we take in all sorts of visual stimuli, but when you touch something, by definition, you have a closer connection to it. So there's the emotional component of touch, and you also understand things better when you can touch them. Here we have someone picking up a creature from a tide pool, and undoubtedly they're picking up more information from that as they're interacting with that animal. You also have more of an investment when you touch things. Here we have someone building a house of cards. Um, Even the phrase, he built it or she built it with her own hands or his own hands. That gives you more of an investment in what's being done. So we want the people that are consuming the data that are getting lessons from it to have more an investment in it and not just look at it, but also interact with it in a touch format. Now, PowerPoint is a traditional way of presenting data, and I pulled up this Dilbert cartoon, which I think really illustrates the state of PowerPoint today. Dilbert says, as you can clearly see in slide 397, and there's people in the middle. These are typical audience members at a PowerPoint. A couple people falling asleep, and one guy just can't take it anymore. He says, like, "Ah!" And they look at him, and he's keeled over, and he says, it's PowerPoint poisoning. I think we all can relate. We've all been at bad PowerPoints, and not everybody does the things that you shouldn't do in PowerPoint, like reading off slides. But even when you're just presenting in a visual format, you're losing an opportunity for having that touch interaction. I want to talk a little bit about data visualization as well, because there's really been a movement toward presenting data in a way that makes it more compelling in the visual component. So we're combining the touch component with the data visualization component. Edward Tufte is considered by many as the father of the data visualization movement. And I thought this quote was telling. He said, "Clutter and confusion are not attributes of data, they're shortcomings of design." And so we believe, and part of what's gone into the design of SecondPrism is that data should be beautiful and that it should be presented in a way that is compelling both visually and is interactive. Now, when you present data on an iPad or smartphone in a touch interface, that's something different. This is something people haven't done before. It's not a typical deliverable. Well, I also want to show you this cartoon, which shows a stereotypical businessman, and he says, "This really is an innovative approach, but I'm afraid we can't consider it. It's never been done before." I think that's the environment that a lot of business people face and a lot of market researchers face in their companies. Look, we can't do this. It's never been done before. but you have an opportunity to do something really different and to be unique. And when you do something that's innovative, it may not be comfortable at first, but many times, if it's well thought out, it can be one of the best things you ever do. Because what we're trying to help you do with Second Prism is to visualize data and to present it in a way that's going to give it more meaning and greater insights. And so that's certainly a goal worth pursuing. And so get over the initial fear of what's different, try it out. We're happy to show it to you. Greg's going to show you in a few minutes how it works. But just bear this in mind. Don't be afraid of innovation. I want to show you a few shots of Second Prism before Greg gets going. This is the app. It is for both tablets and smartphones. It's not just for iOS, so it's iPad, iPhone, iTouch, but also um, Samsung Galaxy Note, Kindle Fire, other devices. And Greg will talk a little bit more about that. Here's a shot of it where someone's interacting with it. So it's interactive. It's quite sophisticated. Here we have a matrix table of data, and you see there are different lines, and put a lot of thought into the design element of it. It's quite compelling when you interact with it, and it's really kind of fun to get in there and manipulate these data and try different things, and it really is. It's quite compelling. I also want to point out that there are collaborative and social elements. So here we have someone using it on an iPhone, and you see that uh, the data can be shared on Facebook and Twitter via email, certainly only when that's appropriate. But you can also add comments and add insights, and you can share within your teams. So it's pretty cool. It's leveraging the power of apps and the social world uh, for data, which has not traditionally been done. If you're emailing PDFs and PowerPoints around, this is going to feel pretty different, and it's going to feel pretty good. So on to Greg, who's going to present. He's going to present on a simulator on his laptop. You can't show the app through GoToWebinar, so he's going to go ahead and he's going to share his simulator with you. So, Greg, I'm going to hand you the presenter capability.
That would be great. Okay, everybody. First of all, my name is Greg Bender, and I am the product manager for two of our mobile applications, Survey Pocket and Survey Swipe. And today, I'm going to walk you through what Second Prism looks like. And if you can see, I'm bringing up my iPhone emulator. And just so you know, you'll see all three of our products sitting on the screen. You'll see Survey Swipe, Second Prism, and Survey Pocket. So today, I'm going to show you a few examples of Second Prism, both on the iPhone as well as online, and I'm going to just walk you through it. So the first thing is, I've downloaded the Second Prism app onto my phone, and I'm going to launch it. The first screen that's going to come up is clearly your account settings. I've already registered and logged in, but you can click on Second Prism account. There is a demo, so if you are not an existing Survey Analytics customer, please download the app and take a look at the application demo. If you like what you see, please sign up for a trial account of Survey Analytics, and your salesperson or account manager will be glad to give you a more active and working demo. As you can see, all I've had to do was enter my email address and my password, and I'm just going to show you one other thing. This is my Survey Analytics account, and for my existing clients, what you would need to do is go to your mobile tab, and you'll see an icon for Second Prism and register the app. And you would simply click on the Connect with Second Prism. It would give you the opportunity to choose the folder that you would like to synchronize with and enter your password and actually register your device. So it's literally that simple. I'm actually, as you can see, I'm synchronizing currently with my beta test folder. And just so you can see that there's no tricks, I've got my beta test folder. There's 34 surveys in it. And I'm going to go back to my emulator now. Oh, by the way, this is SecondPrism Online. I'll sign out and sign back in so you can see. So you simply go to the secondprism.com website and you can log in. I've got my credentials already saved, so I got to sign in. It now takes me in. If you go to this site, you can also have a link to the Apple Store or the Android Marketplace to download the app on your iPhone, on your phone or tablet device. So now that I've got my settings turned on my iPad, on my iPhone, I'm simply going to make sure everything is synchronized over, and I'm going to hit the three lines here. And what it's going to do is it's going to bring up the user interface. And you're going to see a couple of opportunities to review data. First of all, you'll see my data. And since I did mention that I've already synchronized this to my beta test folder, and there are 34 surveys on there, you'll see that there's a counter here that shows there's 34 surveys. I also have access to public data and premium data, tag clouds, settings, the gauge, feedback, and then we have some instructional videos as well. First of all, let's go to my data. Actually, if you looked online, I'm actually tricking you a little bit. I have 33 surveys in my beta test folder, and I've got a new survey that I just uploaded. However, I did not use Survey Analytics to do that. I used a third-party data source. I actually simply uploaded an Excel spreadsheet. So let's take a look at what the reports look like. First of all, you'll see sheet 1 is the name of the survey. I can change that, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. You'll see that the number 5 here. This is the number of questions in this survey that are viewable in the tool. I will make a comment that not every question type is fully viewable yet. We are building this out as we go, so we're exposing more question types, really weekly. So let's take a look at what the data looks like. So this is a very basic survey. What do you think of Starbucks? And what you're going to see here is the question text is up here. What do you think of Starbucks? You'll see a little arrow here. I'm going to click on that arrow, and it brings up the different visualizations that are available to me. The first visualization is a simple line chart, and I can actually go through the various responses and see how they've been responded to. So no one loved it. I can't believe that's true. For hate it, there were a few, and neutral, there was more. You have to have more than one selected. 1 second, please. Let's take a look at the pie chart. The bar chart and the pie chart. Let's go back. I may have frozen of course, it's a demo. Let's make sure I didn't crash my app. 1 second. I apologize. These things never happen unless you're running a live demo. So, of course, give me 1 second and I will fix this. While that's building, I will show you. Oh, it's already built up. 1 second. Here it comes. So let's go back to sheet 1. You'll now again see the data visualizations. So I'm going to click on these and I'll show you the different. I've already walked through. This is the pie chart. This is the line chart, or the bar chart, excuse me. This is the pie chart. I'll go back. So that is the different visualizations for each question. Clearly I can click on the different questions. You'll notice that all of these charts are scrollable. I can move around in them. I can choose. I've got a lot of navigation, so these are all touch activated. Again, I go to another question. I want to show you a few things that I think are relevant. In this question, what do you drink? So more people drink coffee. Okay, that's a comment I actually put in. So, but if I want to take a look at the different responses, espresso. I'm going to focus on espresso here for 1 second. Let's go to the online version and show you what I've done, because this is actually not a survey in my Survey Analytics account. This is not data. This is my chart data. And it's called, I used a sample file called Greg's Modified Sample CSV. And if you notice, the name was sheet 1. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to go to Greg's sample. I'm going to save this. The name online has changed. I'm also going to go to that last question. If you remember, I said espresso. Originally, when I entered the data, I'll show you, this is the file that I uploaded. And you can see that I don't have espresso in here, I have water. So I was very easily able to go in and modify the data. So I'm going to change espresso again to cafe latte, and I'm going to save that. I've done this all online and I've updated my file. So now I'm in my simulator. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to my data. In the top right hand corner, you're going to see the classic synchronization wheel. So I'm going to hit that. It's going to update my data. If you notice, it now says Greg sample, so it immediately pulled from the web source the updated name. I click on the question on the data itself. I go to the last question, and you'll now see that where I had espresso before, the cafe latte has now come up. So the ability to modify, clean up, and manipulate the data and then present it is almost instantaneous. I think this is one of the real powers of the tool, especially if you're going to be presenting data to a large audience. So let's go back, take a minute. I'm going to actually go to my data again. I'm going to look at a variety of surveys. So this is scoring. This is a little survey scoring tool that I use when demoing another one of our tools, Survey Pocket. It's very simple, but again, I've got all of my data options, all of my variety of views, excuse me. One thing that Dana did mention is I've got another arrow up here for my my media sharing. I actually have the ability to share this chart, this particular view, on Facebook, on Twitter. If I really want this chart to be shared, I can always email it. It's going to call up the native email feature on your phone or tablet. You send it out, and this is actually the chart that you would get. I'll delete this draft. More options are you can add comments, add insight, or share. So if I added a comment to this question, just put in this is a comment. I can send the comment. You'll now see there's a historical reference with, of course, of this is a comment. It also has my name, my user ID there, so I have the ability to share that with a larger group of people. Again, I'm going to go back to the data. I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to show you some public data. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Again, always a fun thing to be running an emulator. Here it comes. And I'm back in. I apologize for that. So we've got premium data. Look on premium data. This is some data that is out there on a couple of our public sites. There's one question on here. Let's take a look at it. Actually, there's 27 questions on this particular piece of data. And testing, are you a permanent resident of Orange County? Below are the names of a few government agencies. I can go in and look at all the variety of data that is there. So let's go back, and I want to show you the interaction it has with another one of our applications. So I've gone back out, and I'm on my iPhone, and let's say I'm on my tablet, and I'm using our mobile data collection tool, Survey Pocket. So what I have here is I've got Survey Pocket, and I have synchronized this to my Survey Analytics account. I've got my user ID and password here, and I've got my settings set appropriately. So I've got that survey I mentioned before, scoring 2. I'm just going to walk through it very quickly. So here is the survey. And I'm going to choose the responses. I'm going to go through a few things. I'm going to go to next. I've generated a score. I go to next. What you see is I have 8 responses on here. Now, if I'm using Survey Pocket in the field, I actually have the ability to go to reports on device or reports on the server. In this case, I'm going to go to reports on device. It launches SecondPrism. It takes me immediately into this survey, and it shows me that I've got only the responses that are visible on this particular site. So actually, if I choose, I'm pretty sure no one likes actually the Diners Club, I don't know if you caught this, but the Diners Club got no responses. Discover got a few. Everyone seems to enjoy their American Express. So I can look at the data online. I can also go back. I can now synchronize this to my Survey Analytics account. We'll let that synchronize very quickly. And while that's doing its magic, I will come back over here. and show a few more things. So second Prism allows you to do several things.
Hey,
First of
Greg.
all,
Greg,
yes,
this
sir.
is Dana. Sorry to interrupt, but the screen doesn't seem to be updating. Maybe you could unshare your screen and reshare to
Yep,
reboot it. Sorry
I
about
can
that,
do that.
folks.
So Dana, you should see my second Prism on my Safari.
Yes, I see the Second Prism website.
Okay,
Yep, that
excellent.
looks better.
I apologize for that, people. Sometimes that happens. So we're going back to my simulator, and right now it is synchronizing my surveys from Survey Pocket. And while it's doing that, I can go back to Second Prism. Let me do this. It doesn't want to do that, right? I apologize. Here it comes. So now you see scoring is there, and you see those responses. Now, there were a few responses. Let's go to what types of credit cards do you like? It does look like the Discover card actually got a few hits, or the Diners Club card actually, at some point in history, someone has chosen this option. So what I want to do is I'm going to go back to my data. Because I've just updated it, I want to update my data set. I go back to scoring. And what you'll see is the data has changed just a little bit because I've added some new responses. I want to take a moment now. So this is Second Prism on an iPhone. As Dana mentioned before, it will run on all iOS devices, iPhones, iPads, iTouches. It will run also on Android telephones and tablets as well. Let's go take a look at the Second Prism website and talk about how easy it is to bring in different data sources and different ways you can connect. So first of all, you are not limited just to the app. You can go online and you can see the results at any time. I can go in and look at the charts. The same basic charts are going to be visible here. They're just going to take a second to build. So I've got my linear chart there for that particular question. This is my modified data, but I also have access to my other surveys. Let me take a look and make sure my screen. Dana, is my screen keeping up with me now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. So we've got a variety of surveys. So this is Survey Analytics. Here's that scoring survey I just did. Again, if I want to see what types of credit cards people were using here, I can show the chart. If I hit the button, it will work better. And then I'm going to come up here and talk about the chart data. Again, I can look at my data, public data, or premium data. Data sources, this is really important. So Second Prism is not only for survey analytics. We have intentionally opened it up to third-party data sources, so for organizations to be able to use their own data. So as you can see, here's the different ways to bring in data. You've got Excel, you've got CSV, you can bring in SPSS data, you can do Facebook Connect, I guess we've got Huffington Post, US Census, Survey Analytics, Idea Scale, Question Pro, SOPCA Traffic. And if you talk to us, I want to let you know that we've got several ways to bring in data, but pretty much it's through JSON files. And if you would like more information on that, I'm more than happy to talk about that offline. So again, if I go to data sources, you'll see these. If I go to data or chart data, you'll see all of my data. I think that's kind of where I want to stop for now. Again, I think the big thing to take away from this is this tool will allow you to present your data in real time on iOS or Android devices. It will allow you to present data that you collected on the device via Survey Pocket, our mobile data collection tool. Upload your own data in your Second Prism account, or tie in a third-party data source. And then it gives you obviously several different ways to view the data. So if I go to the star rating, I clearly have a lot of different. I have more ways to present the data than I can even describe in a 20-minute demo. And again, we also have integrated the full social media or sharing capabilities. So Dana, I'm going to stop now if that's okay,
Sure.
and maybe we can start taking some questions.
Yep, that sounds good.
Should I
Let me
give you the
just.
screen again?
Yep, that sounds good. Okay. So please submit questions in the question box. We do have a few already. Here's the first one, Greg. We'll double team these. Um,
Okay.
First is how is client data secured such that it's not public or seen by others?
I think that's a fair question. If it's data that's been collected on survey analytics, a few things. They would need to, if they, the data would be secured on survey analytics because it's on our system. You need user ID and password to get into it. SecondPrism, they would need to have access to your account to link that data to the SecondPrism application. So they're not going to be able to get the data unless they've got a true reason to get there and the credentials to fool it.
How about the just a question some people may be having out there? We showed the social sharing, Facebook and whatnot. Um, can that be disabled?
You simply wouldn't accept it. When you do social sharing, you actually have to enable posting on your site. It takes you through the normal Facebook login credentials. So you would actually have to actively go through that. And we can consider disabling that, but that would be for a white labeled application.
Okay. The next question is, can you set different views for different logins within the same client area? So I think what the person's getting at is, maybe there are some executives that should have one slice of the data and others that would have another slice of the data.
We're working on data filtering and segmentation as we speak. So that will be there in time, and that's absolutely appropriate. Different stakeholders in the company will have different pieces of data that they want to see. So we are looking to embed that.
But you could theoretically set it up as two separate uploads, like if it was two different Excel sheets that showed what people wanted, group A, group B, but it would have to be two separate accounts at this point. Is that what I'm understanding?
I would agree with that. If you're using the Excel or CSV uploads or the third party, yeah, you would simply create the data file and share it appropriately. So yes, you could do that way. You could say this is for management, this is for employees, or however you want to approach that.
Okay. Next question. How would you display longitudinal data and significance testing at the 95% confidence level?
I would want to take that offline. I think that may involve us doing some additional development, but it's something that we're more than interested in pursuing. So please contact Dana or myself after the webinar, and we'll schedule some time.
Yeah, I would just add to that we do have the line chart. So if you had different data points that were different points in time, if that's simply a variable in the data set, that can already be accommodated through the line chart. And you saw in the one graphic that I displayed that we have the degree of sophistication where you can show several lines on the same chart at the same time.
That's correct, Dana. I didn't think about it in that regard. If they are data elements that are measurable and they are in the response set, absolutely they could be presented.
Okay. Next client. We have multiple clients and multiple executive levels internally. Can you limit who has access to what via password protect and then they cut off? But I think that was kind of the question you answered before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that there would be a couple of ways to do that. I'd have to kind of probably walk through the scenario with the party, but I believe we could take care of that. Yes, and we already described one way to do it.
Okay. Are you able to drill down into data via set filters on the touch screen?
Not yet. That is probably in the next version. Obviously, with Survey Analytics Online, we offer a very robust data segmentation, filtering, querying tool. To build that into the mobile app is definitely on the roadmap.
Okay. And when you say next version, Greg, I mean, not everybody has the same orientation we do. Our versions come around very quickly.
Let me be clear. So we are constantly adding features. As I mentioned, not every single question type that's available in Survey Analytics is available in Second Prism today. So we're always adding the additional question types that we offer and enhancing features. We typically will do an update every 2 weeks to a month, depending on the enhancements that we want to release and after we've QA'd them effectively.
Okay. Next question. Do you price based on user license or viewer license? Which I guess we'll take all the pricing questions as one. And yeah, with the pricing, that's another thing. You just go ahead and contact us and we'll talk to you about your specific situation.
And
And
let
our,
me just put a caveat on. Let me, if I can put one caveat on
yeah,
that,
sure.
that's gonna the pricing is gonna be affected by obviously number of users, what type of data you want to use. Is it going to be survey analytics data, question pro data, third party? Are you going to want to use our API? So that really is, it becomes a much more, it doesn't have to be that involved, but there's a few questions that need to be answered on a specific case-by-case basis.
The one thing that I'll emphasize about all survey analytics pricing is that, once you get your setup, we don't charge for the number of surveys or the number of responses that you use. And that's something that I think really differentiates us. Okay, let's see. Does does the Second Prism license include a certain amount of data storage?
That's interesting. I know that with if you're if you're pulling your data from the survey analytics account, you just answered for it. There's an unlimited number of responses capable, so there should be no limitation. There may be some caveats based on using third-party data sources. However, I have not seen those come up yet. So no, I don't have. Again, that's something I'd be more than glad to talk about on a case-by-case basis.
Fair enough. Can you handle waiting?
To a limited degree today. We definitely deal with weighting on survey analytics on the online platform in terms of data collection. And depending on how you've got your response set up, we should be able to present that. However, if it becomes critical, that's something that we can definitely look to put onto the roadmap. And I have to understand kind of what they mean. There's a lot of different definitions of weighting, so it may be relevant to have a one-on-one conversation.
Sure. Okay. If we use a third-party data upload, say SPSS, can we upload data hourly?
Sure. You can upload as much as you want. The condition exists that the people in the field would need to be updating it. So, for example, if you were using the API to update the data source, you would just have to let your users in the field know that. So the API is uploading the data every single hour. Your people in the field, when they review the data, would simply have to hit that refresh button. And as you saw online, I was able to change a name. The data is going to come across that fast as well.
Okay. Um, what is the relationship between Question Pro and Survey Analytics? I'll take that one, Greg. Question Pro and Survey Analytics have shared ownership, but they're separate companies. And Survey Analytics is geared toward, we're the enterprise research platform. So we have some more advanced features. Question Pro has a lot of great features, but it doesn't have all the features that Survey Analytics has, and that's the main difference. Anything you want to add to that, Greg?
I think it's just some of the additional integration capabilities with micropanel, survey swipe that are available with Survey Analytics that are not available with Question Pro. And I think you already mentioned some of the advanced analytics, the addition of conjoint, for example, truly is truly available on the enterprise platform, which is Survey Analytics.
Okay. Is the data stored exclusively on your server/platform?
As you saw, as you noticed, you upload the data to the Second Prism platform, or it resides on Survey Analytics, or it could be API updated. So to present in SecondPrism, it would need to at least be housed to some degree on the SecondPrism website, whether it's being updated manually by uploading a file or the API. Of course, we could look at a white label. We could look at the white labeled solution where we actually are porting data directly from your website or from your internal tools.
Okay. Any thoughts on the visualization of qualitative data versus quant survey results? Greg, the word cloud visualization, is that something that you're able to display?
Well, it's not fully formed, so let me be very honest with you. I'm using advanced code on my emulator. So absolutely, we've done some really nice things on the survey analytics engine in terms of our word cloud. We now offer basic tagging and then charts according to that. So I can tell you that that is definitely presenting the word clouds and the tags. The metadata associated with that is definitely on the roadmap. I would assume in the next 1 to 2 months that will be fully visible. So absolutely, there's definitely something that we are strongly considering. Well, we're not considering it. It's on the roadmap to bring in that qualitative data.
Great. Can you import PowerPoint charts to display data?
I don't believe so. I don't have a great answer on that. However, because it's by itself, it's a graphic. That's not really data.
Right. If I could add on to what you're saying, Greg, I mean, if certainly underlying any PowerPoint chart, if it's not a PDF, if it's an actual PowerPoint object, then it's going to have it's going to have a spreadsheet associated with it. So if you just put that in an Excel format, then yes, we can visualize using Excel. Okay, that looks like that may be all the questions. I'll give it another few seconds if anyone else wants to submit one. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks everyone for your time. We appreciate it, and we'll look forward to speaking with you soon.